Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault.
And I'm Andrew Chang. Tonight, the reality of Keystone politics for Joe Biden.
This is one that for him is a slam dunk.
And the economic cost in Canada if the U.S. cancels it.
Also tonight, a different resource battle pits Albertan against Alberta.
I write songs about oil riggers, I drive a pickup, all that stuff. We should not have open pit coal mines anywhere near our rivers.
I think people get anxious when there's a shortage of anything.
A look at the vaccine supply in Canada.
And how Nova Scotia changed its organ donation law.
There were a lot of tears shed that night, and it was a very emotional time.
The political and the deeply personal. This is The National.
Less than 48 hours from Joe Biden's inauguration as U.S. president. That profound shift in power is already stirring emotion in Canada, and it's not Obama-style hope.
No, it is anger, mostly in Alberta, over the threat of lost jobs. The cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline is expected to be one of the first orders of business for the new administration. That would strangle a precious route to market for Alberta crude and torment a province that already feels left out in the cold.
In a moment, we'll take you to Alberta, where this news clearly lands hardest. But first, we asked David Cochrane to pull back the curtain on the political forces at work and what hope there may still be to change course.
As the sun sets on the Trump presidency, the door is closing on Keystone XL.
I've been against Keystone from the beginning. It is tar sands that we don't need, that in fact is in a very, very high pollutant.
That was May, so it's no surprise Joe Biden is poised to revoke Keystone's permit when he takes office on Wednesday. After all, Biden was vice president when Barack Obama blocked Keystone in 2015. Trump revived it during his presidency, but then Trump lost, and Biden won with some big help from progressives who oppose Keystone.
This is low-hanging fruit for Biden. He's going to have certain things on labor and other issues that will be more difficult for his progressive caucus. This is one that for him is a slam dunk.
A slam dunk for the Biden administration, a headache for the Trudeau government.
We support the Keystone pipeline. We think it's good for Canada. We think it's good for the United States in terms of their energy security. And that's the message we'll carry to Washington.
The Conservatives want Trudeau to convince Biden to save the pipeline.
The most important thing he can do right now is get on the phone, if he can, get to meetings in the United States and meet with the officials and make sure they're well aware of how important this project is.
Others say, let it die.
You simply cannot continue to build pipelines, to continue to frack oil.
I think that our resources and effort and time and money should not be spent on doubling down on something that's not going to create good jobs for the future.
Okay, David, so Keystone, one source of tension with the new administration. What else might be an issue?
Well, there is a chance that Joe Biden's Buy American plan could become an issue. I mean, he's not going to throw trade into chaos the way that Donald Trump did, but he is promising some protectionist policies that could be an issue once we see the fine print. But, you know, broadly, Andrew, there's a lot of common ground here for Biden and Trudeau. They agree on the importance of things like the G7, NATO, and the United Nations. They agree on the threat of Russia and climate change. So expect to see more of a return to normal Canada-U.S. relations rather than the Canada-Trump relations that we've had for the past 4 years.
David Cochrane, thank you very much.
You got it.
Alberta has an awful lot riding on that pipeline in terms of potential jobs and taxpayer money. Last year, the province made a direct investment of $1.5 billion. This year, it is set to put up $6 billion in loan guarantees. And in return, Alberta projected 2,000 construction jobs over 2 years. 1,000 people are already at work, and upon completion, Keystone XL would send about 800,000 barrels of Alberta oil to U.S. refineries every day. Rafi Boudjikanian now on the province with so much to lose.
We are here at long last, kicking off construction.
That optimism from the main stakeholders just months ago replaced in the oil patch today by the sinking feeling that a multi-billion-dollar bet has gone bad.
We were planning and looking at setting up a 200 to 400 man camp here in town coming this spring, which would be on a town of 700 people. that can be a big difference in additional economic impact for all the small businesses.
It's disheartening because pipeline workers work a lot of hours in a short period of time, and they're chasing project to project. So this was a big project that would have provided some stability.
The hope now seems to rest on a successful intervention from Ottawa, probably a political long shot.
So I think Canada has to make the case we're integrated, we're doing the right things from an environmental point of view.
The Premier couldn't put a figure on the cost of cancellation and insisted it's only fair Canada be heard on this issue.
The United States government owes Canada the respect to at least sit down with us and talk about this vital project in the broader context of our shared challenge in addressing climate change, continental energy security, and broader issues.
For now, Alberta says it wants to see where Ottawa can get. If that doesn't work, it also says it has legal recourse to recover some of what it's already spent. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Edmonton.
Well, a plan to expand open-pit coal mining in the Rockies is prompting so much public backlash. Tonight, the Alberta government says it will pause future applications. As Aaron Collins tells us, one project on the eastern slopes has already prompted a legal battle to be heard in court this week.
The rugged beauty of the eastern slopes of the Rockies, as constant as the lowing of cattle in this part of Alberta. Ranchers drawn to this land by the wide open spaces and the clean, crisp water.
Your grandfathers tell you, if you haven't got water, you haven't got nothing.
But that water could be at risk. Changes to the province's coal policy could allow mining in the area, something banned for more than 40 years.
Open pit mining, from what I understand, takes a tremendous amount of fresh water to actually wash coal, which seems kind of crazy.
It's why a local group is challenging the new policy in court, upset that the rules were quietly changed in the spring with little consultation.
I'm kind of pissed off about this. I don't like the content of the changes, and I certainly don't like the way it was done.
Country music star Corb Lund, one of many Albertans speaking up about the issue and speaking the language of a province used to dealing with resource extraction.
I write songs about oil riggers, I drive a pickup, all that stuff. But we should not have open pit coal mines anywhere near our rivers.
It's a message that resonates with local politicians concerned about their water, too.
The ideal scenario is that the Kenney government looks at this and takes it seriously and says, oh, we made a mistake. We got to rewind this and do some public consultation.
In a recent Facebook Live, Alberta's Premier insisted any mines built will be safe and provide much-needed jobs, adding that the coal that would be mined is for making steel and not burnt for power.
Unless you're living in a mud hut, metaphorically speaking, if you are part of the modern economy, then you depend on steel. And steel depends on metallurgical coal. And that coal has to be developed from somewhere.
But late today, a 180 of sorts. The province now says it will pause future coal lease sales in formerly protected areas. However, the review of at least one new coal mine near the eastern slopes will continue. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
Authorities in Washington, D.C. are taking no chances ahead of Wednesday's inauguration. While residents of the city stay mostly inside, a massive security force looms on lockdown streets. Katie Simpson begins with some tense moments today in a city where tensions are already running high.
Inauguration rehearsals were well underway on the front steps of the Capitol when suddenly organizers are told to get in the building as quickly as possible as an unknown threat looms nearby. Carrying their instruments, the rush in is urgent. A CBC News crew member had to drop everything to and make a run for it. But it turns out there was no security threat. A fire at a homeless encampment caused the scare. No one was hurt. It all serves as another reminder of the frayed nerves in Washington.
The intense security presence is meant in some ways to put people at ease. National Guard members are working to prevent a repeat of the Capitol riot. But the same soldiers who are here to provide protection are now being vetted to make sure that there's no threat of an insider attack.
In coordination with the Secret Service and the FBI, they're screening all the personnel that are coming in.
There's no evidence to suggest there are rogue soldiers in Washington, though it will take some time to vet all 25,000 troops who will be on duty.
I think they're going to be looking at Facebook accounts, Twitter. They're going to be relying on commanding officers knowing their soldiers to try and see if anybody who has leanings that cause them for concern.
The fear is not unfounded after nearly a dozen former military members and several off-duty police officers were arrested after the riot.
It's outrageous. You take the oath of office to preserve the law, and then on your time off-time duty, you come and be part of a riot. It has to stop.
If the incoming vice president is worried, she's not letting on.
I am very much looking forward to be sworn in as the next vice president of the United States, and I will walk there to that moment proudly with my head up and my shoulder back.
Kamala Harris may not hold her breath in that moment, but an anxious nation will. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
A Conservative MP could be kicked out of his party because a known white nationalist donated to his campaign. And now Derek Sloan is striking back at the party, saying the man in question was a Conservative Party member who voted in the last leadership race. Catherine Cullen is here with the details and what they mean. So, Catherine, walk us through, if you can, the allegations here.
Yeah, well, Adrienne, it was this afternoon that we first heard that Paul Fromm had made a donation to Derek Sloan's campaign. This was in August during the leadership race. Now, Fromm calls himself a white nationalist for decades. He has attended far-right events, white supremacist events. The Canadian Anti-Hate Network says that he is a neo-Nazi. Now, Derek Sloan says when he found out about this, he tried to give the money back, that he received $13,000, he says, donations during the leadership campaign. Just didn't know about this one. But now that the party is trying to kick him out, Sloan says he's got some details of his own, that he's looked into it, and that Fromm was actually a Conservative Party member, that he voted in the leadership race. And I can tell you, we've just heard from Paul Fromm. He says that's true.
Okay, so what does all this now mean then for Aaron O'Toole?
Yeah, it's really interesting because just yesterday, Aaron O'Toole put out a statement where he said he is not the far-right Conservative that the Liberals are trying to label him as, that he is a moderate. In fact, when there was an effort to kick Sloan out of the party last year, O'Toole wasn't on board with it, but now he says racism is a disease. He wants Sloan out immediately. The party is not commenting on these latest allegations about Sloan tonight.
All right, Catherine Cullen, thank you for this. There is outrage in Montreal tonight after the death downtown of a homeless man within steps of a closed shelter.
He would have been here overnight, and he wouldn't have had to die alone in the toilet.
Raphael Andre's body was discovered on Sunday morning in a portable toilet, just meters from a homeless shelter, which was forced to shut down overnight services due to a COVID-19 outbreak.
We outlined exactly the safety concerns that we had on this aircraft, and through the last 22 months, made sure that all of those safety concerns have been addressed.
Transport Canada has cleared the Boeing 737 MAX 8 to return to service. The planes were grounded after 2 deadly crashes that cost the lives of 346 people.
Now to the new challenges in the fight against COVID. With more than 6,400 new cases recorded across the country today, let's take a look at the active cases per 100,000 people. Saskatchewan has the most with 362, followed by Alberta with 269. Then Quebec, Manitoba, Ontario, and British Columbia. It drops off dramatically after that. New Brunswick has 39, then it's single digits across the rest of Canada, down to literally 0 active cases in both Yukon and Nunavut. Now, especially in those provinces with the highest caseloads, a looming shortage of vaccine is a big problem. 750,000 incoming Pfizer-BioNTech doses to Canada will be delayed 4 weeks. And as Katie Nicholson shows us, it's forcing officials to scramble.
The iconic Toronto sign lit up tonight in pink, a short-lived celebration for the opening of this new COVID vaccination center.
We will only be able to operate this proof of concept clinic for an initial 5 days due to the lack of availability of COVID-19 vaccine.
All appointments after Friday now canceled. The reason? The Moderna vaccine it was using reallocated after Pfizer announced it was retooling this Belgian facility to ramp up production of its vaccine, a move that will result in a 4-week shortfall in the Canadian supply, now keenly felt across the country.
By the end of today or early tomorrow, Albertans will have no more vaccine doses in storage
Vaccination plans for some of the province's most vulnerable, now temporarily on hold.
I personally am very disappointed that First Nation and Métis communities in Alberta are not going to receive the vaccine because of this shortage.
This Western Manitoba vaccination centre should be able to vaccinate 4,000 people a week. But it too has had to dramatically scale back its plans for the time being. BC, also among the provinces who've had to change focus from first doses to making sure crucial second doses are delivered on time.
This delay will temporarily slow our delivery into the next phase of at-risk people.
People get anxious when there's a shortage of anything. Remember when they had the toilet paper shortage?
Vaccination, she says, is in its early stages, and the amounts involved are small relative to the large-scale plans for shots in the months ahead.
I don't think this should worry people. I think actually they should be pleased that the reason this is happening is because the plant is trying to gear up to be able to turn it out faster and more.
The current shortage a bump in a long road ahead, with many months to make up for lost ground. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, we've set up a vaccine tracker on our website. You can see the number of doses delivered to each province and how many have actually been administered. That's at cbc.ca/vaccines.
Parts of New Brunswick are back under lockdown today as the province struggles to contain its latest surge of COVID-19 cases. Officials reported 26 new cases today, which follows 36 on Sunday. That was a new daily record. An outbreak at a poultry plant in the northwest Edmundston region has driven the spike, forcing the area back to red phase restrictions. And so a Regina pub, that one, is under fire after customers were seen ignoring pandemic restrictions while dancing and singing over the weekend. The pub says it was just an isolated incident that happened as patrons were leaving. The police are now investigating. Saskatchewan added 290 new COVID-19 cases and 4 more deaths today.
This incredible state-of-the-art hospital, it's like reinforcements coming over the hill.
And Ontario is set to open a dedicated COVID-19 hospital just north of Toronto as intensive care units in the region struggle to cope with surging cases. The province is also adding 500 additional surge capacity hospital beds in COVID hotspots. Wednesday's transfer of power in the U.S. is going to look and feel like no other.
What we might see is the president being sworn in with a group of armed soldiers from the Army and police officers, and that is the crowd.
Up next, Susan Ormiston on the meaning of this moment.
Plus, technically categorized as recovered.
Do you worry that you'll never get better?
Oh, yeah. All the time. It's been terrifying.
The COVID long haulers, and why some say Canada needs to do more to help them.
And
in Atlantic Canada, there's around 300 people who are awaiting an organ.
How a first in North America law could change that, starting today. We are back in 2. Welcome back. As soon as Joe Biden is sworn in as president on Wednesday, he'll face a number of challenges, including a pandemic that's killed nearly 400,000 Americans and shows no signs of slowing down. A second impeachment trial of Donald Trump in the Senate. That's a potential distraction from Biden's agenda. And a heavily fortified Capitol still on edge after the mobbing of the Democratic heart of the country. That is just the start of it. And so, as Susan Ormiston explains, consider all those crises as the backdrop for what promises to be an inauguration like no other.
Never before, on its most triumphant day, the citadel of American democracy enveloped in security, fortified against unprecedented threat.
For over 1.5 centuries, people have come from all over the world to witness and commemorate this historic event. However, this year will be significantly different.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
In 2009, as a new vice president, Joe Biden looked out at the National Mall teeming with over 1 million. On Wednesday, he'll see an empty mall, closed for the first time, protected by the National Guard in the tens of thousands.
What we might see is the president being sworn in with a group of armed soldiers from the Army and police officers, and that is the crowd.
Every so often, the oath is taken amidst gathering clouds and raging storms.
Threats shadow all inaugurations. President Obama carried a note in his pocket, instructions in case of attack from foreign actors. This time, the threat is homegrown.
What happened on the 6th, they will not allow that to happen again. This is going to be one of the most secure or secured inaugurations we've seen in our lifetime.
Since Abraham Lincoln, under threats of insurrection, invoked bind up the nation's wounds, Inauguration Day has been a powerful signal.
It really sends a symbolic message about democracy, about the orderly transfer of power, and how everything can be peaceful and that we can get along even though we may have differences.
Only 3 outgoing presidents ever refused to attend, Andrew Johnson the last in 1869. Donald Trump brings that insult into this century. No forced pleasantries at the White House, none of the courtesies extended to the Trumps from the Obamas.
I find Donald Trump's decision to not follow traditions this time to be more of a symbolic assault on democracy.
Donald Trump's presidency began with a dark speech.
This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
It ends, leaving a White House barely visible for the barricades, a shield of protest.
It kind of looks like a military state right now. Like the streets are really naked, the highways are closed. It's kind of like, it seems like a doomsday kind of vibe outside, really.
D.C. trying to spruce up Black Lives Matter Plaza, but a new coat of paint can't hide the political wounds.
This may be a dark passage that we'll have to go through, but I think that we'll emerge in the bright sunshine of a new day.
I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify.
Biden's theme Wednesday will be America United, but he'll speak to deeply divided states. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Washington.
CBC will have full coverage of the inauguration Wednesday. I'll be hosting a CBC News Live special. Our coverage gets underway at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on CBC TV, CBC News Network, and CBC Gem.
And when we come back, helping COVID long haulers.
Many of them weren't sick enough to be hospitalized, but months later, they are still feeling often debilitating effects.
I'm 22 years old, and I've been experiencing symptoms for the last 9 months.
Plus, why they say they aren't getting the help they need.
Do you feel like the health system gets long haulers like you?
No, they don't. Even the infectious disease doctors said there's nothing we can do.
Their stories right after this.
When you continue to experience COVID symptoms long after getting sick from the coronavirus, you're a long hauler. And increasingly, we are hearing stories from those who feel left behind by the health system. CBC Marketplace has been investigating, including carrying out a first-of-its-kind national survey. Here's David comment on where Canada may be falling short.
In the way we count Canada's COVID-afflicted, Rebecca Hogaterp is said to be recovered. Sure doesn't look like it, though.
I just felt like I didn't recover. I was plagued with chest pain and exhaustion.
She tested positive 9 months ago. The virus now gone, but a long list of life-altering symptoms remain.
There was quite a bit of scarring on my left lung and pneumonia. Then my legs gave up on me. All of a sudden I started vomiting around the clock and other GI symptoms. My kidneys were injured, all possibly COVID related because of my weakened immunity.
A year ago, Rebecca was an active 40-something, a music teacher and sometimes interior designer. But now, as one of Canada's thousands of so-called long haulers, she's been in and out of hospital, unable to work, drive, grocery shop, you name it.
I almost don't even want to ask this, but do you worry that you'll never get better?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's been terrifying.
Recent research suggests as many as 1 in 3 who catch COVID could end up with symptoms that stick. For how long? That varies. So does intensity.
The midbrain here and then down into the brainstem.
All part of what researchers like Dr. Simon Graham at Toronto's Sunnybrook Hospital are finding. Evidence of strokes, bleeds, and inflammation. Other studies around the world also see COVID damage on the brain.
Enough people are going to be affected by this that we need to be thinking about it and putting structures in place in order to deal with it.
In, out, in, out.
Right now, we don't have much, only a few specialized clinics for all of Canada.
Begin.
To help COVID long haulers who were never hospitalized recover.
Big, 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 and relax. Nice.
Okay, go ahead. Give it, give it, give it.
The clinic helps connect people to rehab and occupational therapy.
Folding in the legs with each one, push out, and then folding in the legs. How fatigued did I feel?
They have them in the UK too, but more than 20 times as many of them, specifically for long haulers, and that begs a question for Canada.
Are we lagging behind?
We're definitely lagging behind. That may help.
Dr. Angela Chung opened Canada's first post-COVID clinic.
I do think we can do better.
What is needed?
Funding support to run these clinics.
Because right now, even the clinic you run is just run through research money. It's not even part of the health system.
That's correct.
It's time to change?
For sure, it's time to change.
If I do that...
Rebecca hasn't had any access to a post-COVID clinic.
Do you feel like the health system gets long haulers like you? Knows what to do?
No, they don't. Even the infectious disease doctors said there's nothing we can do.
I'm 22 years old, and I've been experiencing symptoms for the last 9 months.
CBC Marketplace interviewed some of the thousands of long haulers in Canada.
I just got off the oxygen about a month ago, so I was on it for a good 8 months. So,
many, like Rebecca, unable to get the post-COVID help they need.
I said around $5,000 or $10,000.
Some are paying when the health system won't.
If I end up doing the MRI, that'll be another sort of $1,500.
This is all the walking Rebecca can manage today. Hopeful a health system overwhelmed now by the COVID infected will offer more help to those who still need it to recover.
I still am happy. I'm scared, but I'm still positive and I'm still a happy girl.
How?
Because I survived.
And she knows those who did not. Worries now about what her own future holds. David Common, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, now let's pick up on a couple of threads here with infectious diseases specialist Dr. Zain Chagla. Dr. Chagla, the range of complications a person can have from COVID is really staggering. How is it possible that a respiratory illness can cause so much havoc in the body?
So remember, this is a virus that gets in through the respiratory tract, but it is not necessarily the sole site of infection. And so the virus can disseminate, be found in many different organs, the brain, the GI tract, the kidneys, the blood. There are complications of the damage done in terms of clots and other end organ complications. But the other part of this disease, which is the double-edged sword, is that inflammation, the body's response to COVID-19, can sometimes be so significant that it leads to collateral damage. Remember, one of our treatments for this disease is a steroid to settle down the inflammation. And so all of that inflammation adds up, and yes, it goes to every organ and can cause damage that can be short-term and long-term.
So let's put this in context then. I mean, as we learn more about long haulers, I mean, how should the average person take that into account when gauging their risk and making decisions?
So, it's a complication that happens. People are experiencing it. It may not be the most common complication, but remember, at the pace we're going, we're going to see up to 1 million cases of COVID-19 in Canada. If it's 1 in 1,000, that means 1,000 people get the diagnosis. It's not hard to contract that infection. And as more and more people get infected, there are going to be more and more of these cases identified, and the need to manage and come up with better therapies for these individuals.
Dr. Chagla, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
And on Friday, CBC Marketplace will be revealing the results of its national questionnaire. You'll see how lots of long-term COVID sufferers are paying for their own care. That's Canada's Forgotten Long Haulers at 8 p.m. on Friday, 8:30 in Newfoundland on CBC Television, or you can catch it on CBC Gem.
Next, a historic day in Nova Scotia. The province becomes the first jurisdiction in North America to develop an opt-out organ donation program.
We in Nova Scotia will be trailblazers on this issue.
What it means for those who have offered and received that crucial gift of life. Welcome back. While the pandemic grabs the headlines, there are still other serious medical crises in Canada. Consider the 4,400 Canadians who need a life-saving organ or tissue transplant. On average, 250 people die each year just waiting. Most Canadians do support organ donation, but don't register their decision. So Nova Scotia is flipping the script. It is now the only place in North America where just about all adults are counted in for donating organs unless they register to opt out. Tom Murphy has that story.
You do think of it, and you think about it when you're alone in a vehicle. They had told us that they thought that he was probably brain dead, and then asked us in the next sentence if we would think about organ donations. We had no idea what he thought. We had never had that conversation.
That conversation, the one with a loved one about organ and tissue donation. Margaret Miller hadn't given it a thought. That is, until that day, 17 years ago, when her son Bruce died in a car crash. A police officer off duty at the time, he seemed invincible to her. Having to speak for him once he was dead was almost too much to bear.
At that point, it was like, no, we're not going there, we're not thinking about that.
Dr. Steve Bede runs the Nova Scotia Organ and Tissue Donation Program and is a proponent of a new law that presumes you are an organ donor upon death, helping families with that difficult conversation at their worst hour.
We are presuming that if individuals had not registered to opt out or told their families or loved ones that they did not want to opt out, then we will proceed with donation if medically appropriate.
But the law still respects those who decide not to donate.
We specifically built an opt-out registry for those individuals who choose that. So my hope is that we're providing the best end-of-life care and we're supporting families, and most of them will decide to donate.
There has always been a gap between those who support donation and those who officially register. And it matters, because the need for life-saving organs and tissue is so massive.
In Atlantic Canada, there's around 300 people who are awaiting an organ. We've had, for most of the last decade, about 20 donors for the entire year. So missing a single donor is a big deal.
We in Nova Scotia will be trailblazers on this issue.
And so Nova Scotia's Human Organ and Tissue Donation Act, a first of its kind in North America, aims to save more lives. It took political clout to make it happen.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Bill 133, the Human Organ and Tissue Donation Act, be now read a third time and do pass.
Nova Scotia Premier Stephen McNeil pushed for this, essentially making every Nova Scotian a donor unless they opt out of the program.
I want to thank the Premier for being a champion of this bill. He will never know the full impact it will make on the lives of Nova Scotians.
Margaret, who is also an MLA, participated in the very vote to make it legal. Her son's memory never far away.
There were a lot of tears shed that night, and it was a very emotional time. It really showed truly what government can be.
Yeah. And now others, touched by that night and by tragedy, are watching. Some thousands of kilometers away. Among them, Cindy and Trent Krieger in Calgary, parents of Braden and Morgan.
Morgan loved to sing. She loved to dance. Her passion in life was to help others.
In 2018, Cindy and Trent got the call to come to Nova Scotia, where Morgan was attending university. When they arrived at her bedside, they found their daughter near death after having severe seizures.
We sat with her for 2-3 days, and then they had asked us if she wanted to be an organ donor, and funny enough, we knew she did because we'd had that discussion, and we always try to look for the positive, as Morgan did, and just to know that Morgan could do something good and we could be there with her in this journey.
A journey that ultimately led them to Monique Pelletier, a complete stranger back in Halifax, the recipient of Morgan's heart. If you could talk to Morgan right now, what would you say?
I would thank for her bravery and for making that choice. And I would also extend thanks to her family for supporting her, because that's also a huge thing. That's a very, very brave thing.
Eventually, Monique and the Kriegers were able to meet, a rarity in the world of organ and tissue donation.
Last January, we went out to Nova Scotia, and we had the opportunity to meet Monique and listen to her heart again. We've formed a beautiful relationship. We're very, very grateful. We've gotten to know her. Hi, Monique. How are you?
Good. How are you? How's your day going?
It's going good. It's a little chilly here, but it's going good.
Cindy and Monique talk daily now.
I see you're sitting outside.
The new law will help better facilitate meetings between donors and recipients if they so choose.
It's hard to believe it's been a year.
I know.
Since we've met each other.
I know. It goes by fast.
And there's little messages on most of them.
It never really gets any easier. But in an incredible coincidence, the unprecedented law comes into effect in Nova Scotia on the very anniversary of Morgan's death. Could it be the beginning of something bigger? The Kriegers wonder.
Just wanted to be able to have this conversation and learn about your story.
Yeah, so 3 years ago today, actually.
Calgary Region MLA R.J. Sigerson recently put forward an opt-out bill for Alberta. Cindy is lending her voice to the efforts to get it passed.
I just want to help if I can, and I know Morgan does too.
The Millers have found peace as well since the loss of their son. The day Bruce died, they ultimately did decide to donate some of his organs.
All about the horses and dogs.
And now, all these years later, Margaret's husband Robert is a 3-time recipient of cornea tissue, the gift of sight.
Has it kind of come full circle for you in some ways?
Oh, it did, especially that night when we were talking about the bill, to say, we were able to donate Bruce's organs, that he was able to give that gift of life. This is the opportunity to really, to not bury hope. For me, there's no choice that organ donation is always the right thing to do.
For the Millers, they now see clearly how the gift that can be born of loss really can come full circle. Tom Murphy, CBC News, Enfield, Nova Scotia.
Okay, next on The National, a special honor for the NHL's first black player.
He obviously had a great impact for players like myself and was a pioneer in the league.
63 years after he broke the league's color barrier, Willie O'Ree's number will be retired. But critics add the NHL has a long way to go to embrace diversity. We're back right after this.
My name is Zilly Frazier.
Gregory Anderson, and I'm in the 5th grade.
The words of Martin Luther King echo through a Dallas school today. 8 young finalists in an oratory competition were asked, how do you think Dr. King's teachings can help us today?
I see some people getting hurt from protesting.
We saw it, we heard it, and we felt it.
Judging people by their skin color is called racism.
I will remember the names of George Floyd.
5th grader Dominic Patermo may have come in first, but fair to say all of them wise beyond their years.
Believe, be real, be you.
Now, normally on this day, we'd be seeing huge gatherings to mark Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the U.S. The pandemic, of course, has cut into that, but the overarching message as relevant as ever.
This King holiday has not only come at a time of great peril and physical violence, though, it has also come during a time of violence in our speech, what we say and how we say it. It is frankly out of control, and we are causing too much harm to one another.
King's daughter renewed the call for non-violence during a virtual service at her father's former church. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in April of 1968. Last Friday would have been his 92nd birthday. Now, while King fought for change in all areas of life, 63 years ago today, a significant one came to the National Hockey League. Willie O'Ree broke its color barrier. Though, as you'll hear from Jamie Strachan, many say the league still has a diversity issue.
On this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the NHL honored the legacy of its first black player. Helmet decals and tribute videos for Willie O'Ree, who broke that barrier 63 years ago today.
He obviously had a great impact for players like myself and was a pioneer in the league.
Racism. But critics say diversity on the ice and in the executive suite needs more than symbols.
Well, I think that a lot of their efforts seem performative.
Shireen Ahmed says the NHL's diversity goals need a sharper focus.
They really need to start reassessing where they are now instead of frantically reaching out to people to say we need help with this and this and this, because they don't have a strategy and they don't have a plan.
Last fall, the Hockey Diversity Alliance, made up of current and former players, cut ties with the league when it wouldn't commit to hard targets around minority hiring and employment.
We just feel like not enough was getting done. I think just talking in circles is just a waste of everyone's time.
Criticism comes from beyond the pro ranks.
We would like to see tangible evidence that the National Hockey League is truly working to make hockey for everyone.
Clubs like the Black Girl Hockey Club work to introduce more black children to hockey. Its founder says change starts at the top.
They need to hire folks that are from those communities to speak to the needs of those communities. And until that happens on all levels, then there's going to be a disconnect.
Hess is spearheading the Get Uncomfortable campaign, an attempt to disrupt the game's status quo.
These folks feel really, they get very defensive when you start talking about the negative culture of hockey. And so trying to escape that, get around that defensiveness and really have people experience that empathy for others.
Hess says only then can hockey truly embrace diversity. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
When we come back, a doctor turned documentarian.
I think the most important thing with an emotional photograph is that it's the true story.
Telling the story of the pandemic one image at a time.
These photographs you're looking at were taken by a Calgary doctor. Dr. Heather Patterson has set out to capture life on the front lines of the pandemic through her camera lens. So she wants to give us all a glimpse into what's happening inside the hospitals. It's a rare look inside. And tonight, her photos and the stories behind them are our moment.
I was presented with the opportunity to photograph broadly across the hospital. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share our stories with the public. And I'm looking at the humanity behind what we do. This particular picture is special. What's happening is that the patient has come in and is requiring intubation. And one of our lovely nurses is holding his hand and reassuring him about the process that he's about to undergo. These people who allow me to photograph them allow me to see their most vulnerable times. And it's a real privilege to do that. None of my patients are a statistic or a number to me. I remember their stories and their faces. It's an honor to take care of these people and be involved in their lives, but with that comes the responsibility of carrying those memories. I think the message is, that we're all humans. It's a reminder of what we can do as a community. It's a reminder of how we can work together. And I think that's a message of hope and collaboration that I hope people take away from this project.
So there's so much in these photographs. The black and white alone is so arresting. All this chaos, and it's just frozen in a moment. But she said that what has helped her is that in taking the pictures, it allows her to see what's happening in the hospital, not just from a physician's perspective, but
Right.
but to put her on the other side of the gurney, basically.
Yeah, and to that end, I mean, she's photographed COVID patients, but not only photographed COVID patients. She's photographed all parts of the hospital and shown how the pandemic has affected life more broadly. And I think that's something that we can all understand. That's The National for this Monday, January 18th. Have a great night.
Good night.